Hi, in this story, her in-laws do something quite evil, I think, and they regret it a lot. Let's listen.
At a family barbecue, my sister-in-law threw all my 12-year-old's medals into the kitchen trash because she was outshining her cousin. "She needs to be humble," my mother-in-law said. My husband stayed calm, then made one phone call. The next morning, they were begging him to. We pulled up to my in-laws Diane and Mark Mitchell's house in Grand Rapids, just after noon on Memorial Day. Ben parked behind 3 SUVs, and our 12-year-old daughter Ella sat in the back seat with a soft blue pouch in both hands. Diane had asked every grandchild to bring one thing they were proud of for a little achievement table by the patio doors. Ella had chosen her soft blue metal pouch, the one holding 3 track medals, including the county relay medal she had trained for all spring. "Just the 3? Ben asked gently. Ella nodded. "I don't want it to look like too much." That was Ella, careful even with pride. In the backyard, folding tables were already covered with foil pans, coolers, paper plates, and bowls of cut watermelon. Cousins ran through the sprinkler while Mark yelled for someone to move a lawn chair away from the grill. Ella looked at the house, took one breath, and said, "Grandma asked, right?" I said, "She did." Then she opened the car door. She thought she was walking into a family party, not a test. The achievement table sat inside, between the kitchen and the sliding doors, where everyone would pass it on the way to the backyard. Ella placed her medals beside a framed baseball photo of Tyler, Karen's 13-year-old son and Ella's cousin. Karen, Ben's older sister, watched from the counter with a plastic cup in her hand. Tyler barely looked up from his phone. Karen did. Her shoulders went tight the second the medals touched the table. "Wow," she said, loud enough for 2 aunts to turn. "Some kids really do get shoved into the spotlight." Ella's fingers froze on the pouch string. "Grandma asked us to bring something," she said. Diane came in carrying hamburger buns and gave a little laugh. "And we love that, sweetheart. Just remember to be humble." Ella had not bragged. She had not even smiled all the way yet. Ben squeezed my hand under the edge of the table, the way he did when he was trying to say, "Please don't start." I looked at Ella's face and saw her joy get smaller. I went into the kitchen to help carry drinks because Diane called my name like she was announcing a chore. "Sarah, grab the lemonade, would you?" she said, already moving on. I took 2 pitchers from the fridge while Ben stepped outside to help Mark with the grill. Ella drifted back toward the achievement table, probably to check the medals one more time before the younger cousins got near them. Then I heard nothing. Not a crash. Not a shout. Just a silence sharp enough to pull me from the refrigerator door. When I turned, Ella was standing in the little hallway by the kitchen trash can, staring down at something. The table behind her had an empty space where the medals had been. "Mom?" she said. Her voice was flat. Too flat. I crossed the kitchen. A corner of a blue ribbon stuck out from under paper plates, corn husks, and a wad of barbecue-stained napkins. Ella reached in before I could stop her and pulled out the pouch with shaking hands. One medal slid halfway out, sticky with sauce. That was the first line Karen crossed where everyone could see it. I reached for a towel, but Ella clutched the pouch to her chest like it might disappear again. Karen did not step back. She did not pretend confusion. She looked at me, then at Ella, and said, "Before you overreact, Tyler already feels like a failure next to her." The kitchen went still. Ben's Aunt Lisa lowered a tray of deviled eggs onto the counter. "Karen," Aunt Lisa said, "what did you do?" Karen lifted her chin. "I moved them. She didn't need to rub everyone's face in it." Ella whispered, "I didn't say anything." Diane came in from the dining room and saw the medal in Ella's hand. For 1 second, I thought she would correct her daughter. Instead, Diane sighed like Ella had spilled something. "Ella is talented enough to survive one little embarrassment," Diane said. "Tyler is sensitive." The words landed harder than yelling would have. Karen had thrown away a child's award, and Diane had already turned the child into the problem. That was the room choosing sides. Ella's face changed before any of us moved. She did not sob or stomp or accuse. She looked down at the medal, wiped a smear of sauce with the corner of her shirt, and gave one small nod like she had just learned a rule. "I never should have brought them," she said. "I'm done competing." My hand tightened around the towel. "Ella, no." She kept her eyes on the floor. "Competing just makes people hate me." That sentence stripped every polite excuse out of the kitchen. Karen opened her mouth, probably to call it dramatic, but I stepped between her and my daughter. "Do not speak to her," Diane said. "Sarah, don't make this bigger." I turned to Diane. "A grown woman put medals in garbage." Diane's lips pinched. "And a grown mother should teach humility." Ella shoved the sticky medal back into the pouch and tried to move past us toward the front hall. I followed close enough to block anyone from touching her. This was not awkward family tension anymore. This was an adult teaching my child to shrink. Ben had heard the last part from the hallway. He stepped into the kitchen without raising his voice, and that made everyone look at him faster than shouting would have. "Karen," he said, "did you put my daughter's medals in the trash on purpose?" Karen crossed her arms. "Yes, because someone had to protect Tyler." Tyler was still by the living room couch, phone in hand, looking more embarrassed than protected. Ben looked at him, then back at Karen. "You did that to a 12-year-old. Karen pointed toward Ella. "You let Sarah turn everything into Ella's little parade." Ben nodded once, not agreeing, just recording it. Diane touched his arm. "Benjamin, this is family. Don't punish everyone because girls are emotional." Ben gently moved his arm away. That small movement changed the air. Mark came in from the patio and said, "What's going on?" Nobody answered him. Ben pulled his phone from his pocket and walked toward the back porch. Karen rolled her eyes like she had won because he was leaving. She did not understand what leaving meant. I took Ella toward the front door while the kitchen broke into overlapping voices. Karen complained about overachieving kids. Diane told Aunt Lisa not to gossip. Mark kept asking why there was barbecue sauce on a medal. Through the open sliding door, I saw Ben on the porch, phone to his ear, one hand braced on the railing. His face was calm in a way I had not seen during family conflict before. "Rob," he said. That was Rob Henson, the property manager for the lake house on Silver Lake. Ben paused, listened, then said, "Change every code tonight. Gate, keypad, lockbox. No one in the family but Sarah, Ella, and me gets access anymore." Karen heard enough to stop mid-sentence. Diane's head turned slowly toward the porch. Ben did not look back at them. He only said, "Yes, tonight. Put it in writing when it's done." Ella stood beside me with the ruined pouch pressed under her chin. That was the moment he stopped asking permission. The lake house on Silver Lake belonged to Ben, legally and completely, because his grandfather had left it to him before Ella was born. The Mitchell family never said that part out loud unless a bill arrived. They called it the family place when they wanted a weekend, Ben's responsibility when the taxes were due, and tradition whenever Diane wanted everyone smiling in matching shirts on the dock. Ben paid the insurance, repairs, dock fees, cleaning service, propane, and winterization. Karen hosted summer weekends there like she had a deed in her purse. She picked dates, assigned bedrooms, invited Tyler's friends, and told cousins where to park. Diane praised her for keeping the family together. I used to correct the wording softly. "It's Ben's house," I would say. Diane would pat my shoulder. "Oh, Sarah, don't be legalistic." Ben would give me the look he gave me at the barbecue. "Please don't start." So I stopped starting. Peace looked cheaper back then because Ben kept paying the real price. I first noticed the pattern when Ella was 7 and won a ribbon at her school art fair. She came to Diane's Sunday dinner wearing the ribbon on her sweater because her teacher had said the colors were beautiful. Before Ella finished telling the story, Diane clapped once and said, "Tyler got 100 on his spelling test." Karen leaned over Tyler like he had survived surgery. "That's because he works so hard even when things don't come easy." Ella touched the ribbon and sat back. Tyler, who was 8 then, actually said, "Hers is cool too." Karen laughed too sharply. Nobody said it wasn't. After that, Ella learned to wait. She waited for Tyler's baseball talk to finish, for Diane's praise to run out, for Karen to stop watching her. If Ella achieved something, the adults treated it like a weather event that might damage Tyler. If Tyler achieved something, everyone had to stand in the sun. That was how a child became responsible for another child's shadow. Ben had been the family fixer so long that everyone mistook his generosity for plumbing. It was just supposed to be there. When Karen needed a place for Tyler's birthday, Ben gave her the lake house. When Diane wanted a reunion, Ben paid the cleaning crew and ordered extra propane. When Mark complained that vacations were too expensive, Ben covered dock maintenance so they could keep using the boat lift. The thank you notes were always verbal and always public enough to sound generous. "Ben is so good to this family," Diane would say while handing him another receipt. Karen would add, "That's what family does." But family did not send Ben money for repairs. Family did not ask before giving the gate code to friends. Family did not clean out the fridge unless I made Ella and Ben stay late with trash bags. I once found a sticky note on the counter in Karen's handwriting. "Ben, freezer is acting weird. Please fix before July." There was no please in the habit behind it. Ella still wanted their approval because children remember the rare good moments with unfair loyalty. When she was 9, Diane framed a photo of her crossing a finish line at a kids' 5K. Ella kept it on her desk for months, angled toward her bed. "Grandma liked this one," she told me. Tyler used to cheer for her too, before Karen turned every medal into a referendum on his worth. At little races, he would run along the fence yelling, "Go, Ella!" Then Karen started correcting him. "Don't act like she's the only one doing things." Slowly, Tyler got quieter. Ella tried harder. She brought smaller stories to dinner. She said only before every achievement. Only second place. Only a school meet. Only a relay. I hated that word and still let it stay because I thought time would fix what confrontation might worsen. Ella believed if she was sweet enough, humble enough, and helpful enough, nobody would call her success rude. That belief cost her more than any medal. I helped normalize it, and I have to say that plainly. I told Ella to ignore comments. I told her adults had their own issues. I told her not to let Karen ruin her day. Those sentences sounded steady in the moment and cowardly afterward. Ben smoothed things over because Diane's disappointment still worked on him like a switch. One frown from his mother, and he became the oldest son carrying folding chairs, paying deposits, and apologizing for asking basic questions. We both wanted Ella to have cousins, grandparents, barbecues, lake mornings, and pictures on the dock. We treated the discomfort like an entry fee, but the trash can changed the math. Karen had not forgotten Ella. She had targeted the one thing Diane invited her to bring. Diane had not missed the harm. She had defended it in real time. That meant the family was not merely overlooking Ella. They were willing to destroy something she loved to protect Karen's version of Tyler. After that, peace was just another word for permission. I got Ella to the car before the burgers came off the grill. She climbed into the back seat and placed the metal pouch on her lap with both hands flat over it, like she was holding something injured in place. I opened the front passenger door out of habit, then closed it and got in beside her. "I want to quit before Coach Ramirez is disappointed," she said. Coach Ramirez was Ella's track coach, a patient man who timed laps with a whistle and never praised talent without praising effort. "You do not have to decide anything today," I said. Ella stared out the window at the cousins in the sprinkler. Aunt Karen said I make Tyler feel like a failure. Adults who are uncomfortable with a child's hard work do not get to decide what that child is allowed to love. She looked at me then, but Grandma agreed. That was the part I could not soften. Grandma was wrong. Ella's mouth trembled once, but she held herself still. I hated how practiced she looked. My first real boundary started in that back seat. Ben came to the car 10 minutes later. He opened the driver's door, got in, and sat for a moment with both hands on the wheel. His face was pale, and the tendons in his jaw moved once before he spoke. "Ella, look at me." She did. "I am proud of every one of those medals, including the sticky one." Ella blinked hard. "It's ruined," she whispered. "No," Ben said. "Somebody treated it badly. That is different." I watched the sentence reach her slowly. He did not promise she would feel better by dinner. He did not make a speech about forgiveness. He said, "Quitting should never be a decision you make from somebody else's cruelty." Ella rubbed the pouch string between her fingers. "Are we going back inside?" Ben looked at me, then at the house. Karen stood by the kitchen window with Diane behind her. "No," he said. "And they will not keep access to spaces, money, or traditions that require you to disappear." That was Ben's first clean sentence in years. That one call to Rob Henson was short, but it had weight because every word was an instruction, not a threat. Before we pulled out, Ben told me the rest of what had happened on the porch. Rob had asked, "You want all extended family access removed?" "Yes," Ben had said. "Tonight." Rob asked for the list. Ben named Karen, Diane, Mark, every cousin household, and the extra guest pass Karen had begged for the previous summer. Gate passes off, keypad changed, lockbox canceled. No one books, enters, parks, stores supplies, uses the dock, or gives the code out without written permission from Sarah or me. Rob paused. "That's going to surprise a few people." Ben looked at Ella in the mirror. "It should." Rob said he would drive out before dark and send confirmation photos after the reset. Ben had thanked him, then added, "If anyone tells you this is a misunderstanding, call me only." The call had ended without drama. No shouting, no countdown. Just ownership finally sounding like ownership. By sunset, the old family key had already started dying. Karen found out first because she texted Rob that evening about dropping off coolers for Tyler's upcoming birthday weekend at the lake house. We were home by then. Ella was in the shower, and I was washing barbecue sauce off the metal with dish soap and a soft toothbrush. Ben's phone started buzzing on the counter and did not stop. 12 calls in 20 minutes. Then a text came through from Karen. "What did you do?" 2 seconds later. "How am I supposed to explain to Tyler his birthday is canceled?" Not, "How is Ella?" Not, "I went too far." Diane left a voicemail that Ben played once on speaker. "Benjamin, you are punishing the whole family over some little medals. Your grandfather would be ashamed to see you use that house like a weapon." Ben deleted nothing. He saved it. Ella came into the kitchen in pajamas and saw his phone light up again. "Is it because of me?" she asked. Ben set the phone face down. "No," he said. "It is because of what they did." That answer held the line. The pressure campaign started before bedtime. Mark texted Ben, "House belongs to the Mitchells in spirit. Don't be dramatic." Karen posted a vague Facebook status about people who use money to control family after one uncomfortable moment. Diane called me directly, which she almost never did unless she wanted a softer doorway into Ben. I answered because Ella was asleep, and I wanted to know what angle she would try. "Sarah," Diane said, "Ella needs to apologize to Tyler for making him feel small." I stood in the dark laundry room, holding one of Ella's race shirts from the dryer. "Ella did not throw anything away." Diane exhaled sharply. "Girls mature faster. She should know better than to parade medals around a struggling boy." "Diane, she was invited to bring them." That was before Karen realized how Tyler felt. I looked at the clean shirt in my hand and folded it slowly. "Do not call Ella about this." Diane said, "You are making Ben cruel." I documented the call instead of arguing. Silence became evidence. The following morning, Ben sent one message to the family group chat. He wrote it at the kitchen table while Ella ate cereal in the living room, far enough away not to read it, but close enough to know we were not hiding. The message said, "Karen admitted she put Ella's track medals in the trash because Tyler felt inferior. Diane defended it and said Ella should be humble. As a result, access to my Silver Lake property is revoked until further notice. Do not contact Ella about this. No insults, no long history, no mention of money, favors, or years of swallowed disrespect. Just facts and a boundary." For 3 minutes, nobody answered. Then Aunt Lisa replied, "Wait, she threw away a child's medals?" That one sentence punctured the private family fog. Karen responded with, "That is not the full context." Aunt Lisa wrote back, "What context makes trashing a kid's medals okay?" Diane tried to move the chat to phone calls. Ben typed, "Keep it in writing." I read those words twice. By then, my calm had become final. Karen attempted an apology at 7:12 that same morning. Ben got a separate message 2 minutes later. "Please don't do this before Tyler's birthday. Just reopen the house for that weekend, and we'll talk after." Then the apology came to me, not to him. "I'm sorry Ella misunderstood the situation yesterday. I hope we can move forward because Tyler's birthday invitations already went out and the lake house is important to him." I stood by the coffee maker and read it once. Then I wrote back, "Ella did not misunderstand being handed her medals from a trash can. If you want to apologize, name what you did." The typing bubbles appeared, vanished, appeared again. Karen replied, "I was trying to protect my son from constant comparison." I wrote, "That is not an apology." She answered, "You have always wanted Ben to cut us off so you could control the lake house." There it was. 3 messages from apology to accusation. I showed Ben without adding commentary. He nodded and forwarded Karen's text to the family thread with one sentence. This is why access stays revoked. Karen called me a snake within 30 seconds. I put my phone on silent. Her apology had collapsed under the weight of the thing she actually wanted. Later that morning, Diane's silver sedan stopped at the curb, and my body moved before my mind finished naming the danger. We had kept Ella home from school that day, and she was at the dining table doing math homework, the cleaned metal pouch beside her pencil case. "Go to your room, please," I said. She looked toward the window. "Is it Grandma?" "Yes. You do not have to handle her." I opened the front door but kept the storm door locked. Diane stood on the porch holding her purse with both hands. "I need to speak to Ella." "No." Diane's eyes flicked past me. "Tyler is devastated. She can be the bigger person and tell Ben to reopen the lake house." Ella had come halfway down the hall, so I shifted my body to block the view. Adults do not get to use a wounded child as a customer service desk for consequences they created. Diane's mouth opened, then closed. She lowered her voice. "You are breaking this family." "No," I said. "We stopped lending you our child as glue." Then I closed the main door. The next front opened when Ben reviewed Rob's written confirmation from the night before. Along with the reset photos, he attached something Ben had not expected: a spreadsheet with dates, gate entries, guest vehicles, and cleaning notes. Karen had used the lake house 7 weekends without asking. She had hosted 2 team parties for Tyler's baseball circle and given the gate code to 3 non-family parents. There were supply deliveries Ben had paid for because Karen told Rob they were for Diane. There were cleaning invoices after weekends Diane had never attended. Ben sat at the kitchen table scrolling line by line. "She said Mom used it in March," he said. "Mom was in Florida in March." I pulled up Diane's photos from that week, smiling beside a hotel pool. Ben did not curse. He just got quieter. Ella walked in for water, saw the screen, and asked, "Is this still about the medals?" Ben closed the laptop halfway. "It is about people thinking they can use what is ours and hurt who is ours." The trash can had opened a ledger. Ben forwarded the access log and unpaid cleaning invoices to Karen the next morning. His email was 12 lines long. "Here are the documented unauthorized uses of the Silver Lake house. You have 30 days to repay the cleaning charges listed. Do not contact Rob. Arrange repayment through me." Karen went straight to the family chat. "Sarah is making Ben act like a landlord to his own blood." Aunt Lisa answered, "I personally heard you tell guests the lake house was basically yours." Mark stayed quiet for almost an hour. Then he texted Ben privately to ask whether his June fishing weekend was still on. Ben replied, "No, your code no longer works either." Mark finally entered the group chat with, "Karen, did you give the code to strangers?" Karen said, "They were team parents." That was not a denial. The dominoes were practical, not poetic. Tyler's lake birthday venue was gone. Summer weekends were gone. Free lodging, dock access, cleaning coverage, and family event supplies were gone. Karen had lost the stage she had mistaken for ownership. Ben and I wrote the final boundary together at the dining table after Ella went to bed. We did not ask for votes. We did not invite debate. Ben sent it from his phone and copied me. Karen and Diane are not to contact Ella directly. Any future relationship with her requires a direct apology that names the action, throwing her medals in the trash and defending it. The apology cannot blame Tyler, Ella, Sarah, or sensitivity. The Silver Lake house is closed to extended family for the summer. Codes stay changed. We will no longer pay for cleaning, dock access, group groceries, propane for family events, or supplies for gatherings we are pressured to host. Ella will not attend events where her achievements are treated as weapons. Diane responded with a long paragraph about forgiveness. Ben wrote, "Received. Boundary unchanged." Karen sent a crying emoji, then nothing else. I printed the message and put it in the folder with the access logs and invoices. That may sound cold. It felt clean. For once, the rule was written before they could bend it. Months later, Ella was running again. Not because I forced her back, and not because one speech healed the bruise. Coach Ramirez invited her to help younger kids at practice, and she started by timing sprints, then jogging warm-ups, then asking if her spikes still fit. The ruined medal hangs in a small frame in her room now, with a note Ben wrote underneath. This was never trash. Karen moved Tyler's birthday to a public park, repaid part of the cleaning costs, and spent the summer explaining why nobody could use her lake house anymore. Diane lost the power to summon everyone to a free vacation and call it unity. Mark learned that in spirit does not open a keypad. Aunt Lisa still texts Ella after meets with 3 clapping emojis and no comparison attached. As for Ella, she stopped auditioning for people who only loved her when she was smaller. Last week, she placed her new medal on our kitchen counter and said, "Can we hang this one too?" We did. So what would you have done if a grown woman threw away your child's medals to protect her own pride? Forgive for the sake of family, or close the door for the sake of your child? Tell me what you think in the comments, and subscribe for more stories like this.
Hi, if you made it until the end, then like and subscribe. Also, some people were asking me to narrate my stories myself. So if that's something that could interest you, then check out my other channel. There should be a link somewhere on the screen and in the description below.